Alright, hello and welcome to the 5th episode of Kerbal Space Endeavour, and here is the Moon Express 1. On board we have Bob Kerman, and his mission is going to the moon and then do a flyby and come back home. And mission control gives us a liftoff, and as you can see down here, I installed a new mod which lets us have really nice rocket effects. And I think better sounds too, but right now let's focus on the launch. And here we go, faster and higher in time acceleration, and skip all the boring staging parts. What you see there at the tip of the craft is a solar particle collector, which works 4 times and lets us collect more science. But now let's just skip the boring orbital transition and jump right ahead to where we are almost within the grasp of the moon, and therefore ready for some science. Okay, so we are fairly close to the moon. Let's see if we can give Bob Kerman a nice view. He sees nothing. Oh, there we go. There we see the planet in a weird way. Do we see any of our satellites? No, they must be too small to see. Okay, but now that we're so close to the planet of the moon, well, planet of the moon, ugh. Okay, let's collect solar particles. Eye over Kerbal, we already have that. Let's clean this. Review initial data. There, several particles become embedded in the collector wafers. Further study will give a better idea of their composition and their properties. And we're gonna keep that data. Misclick things because I'm confused right now. And we're doing a crew report. You're very proud of yourself for reaching this far. Yes, Bob Kerman can be proud of himself. Now we're gonna observe the materials bay in high space over the moon. Inside, you see what appears to be a small glowing yellow squid-like creature. Fascinating. And this doesn't have anything. There we go. Observe mystery goo. The surface of the goo has become covered with little craters. Interesting. And we probably can't log temperature yet because we're too high up. Now we just need to do an EVA by taking all the data that we can. Collect data. We're doing an EVA report. All you can think about is potatoes. Potatoes are awesome. And now we need to be a little bit careful around our solar sails, our solar panels. Let's collect this data here, and we need to collect the mystery goo. Whoop. And a little bit closer. And we get back on board. Alright, and we will have a close flyby of the moon, and therefore we can collect near moon science. So let's speed this up a little bit. And we would even have connection thanks to our newly installed satellite network. But we're not gonna send any of this data back home. We are just going to retrieve it and bring everything in physical form back home. So What does the solar particle collector tell us this time? The solar particles will allow for better estimates to be made of the composition of the sun's outer atmosphere. A sun's outer atmosphere? A sun does not have an atmosphere, am I right? Or am I mistaken? Whatever. And we're gonna do a crew report. You're very proud of yourself for reaching this far. We're still high over the moon. So, review data and reset. How can we still be high over the moon? This is interesting. I guess I would need to be closer to the moon in order to get near moon science. I thought 100,000 kilometers should be enough, but as it seems it's not. Alright, nevertheless, let's collect the science again. Maybe it'll give us something when we get back home, or maybe it doesn't. Right now, it doesn't really matter. We just collect what we can and toggle these bays, because when we toggle these bays. When we get back to Kerbal, we don't want any of this to burn up into the atmosphere. So everything is closed, everything is prepped and set. Bob is on board, a little bit disappointed that we missed the near moon science, but it is no big deal. And now we're going into a very, very high orbit. Let's see if we can bring ourselves down with the last amount of fuel we have on board. And yes, we can. So we want to get this down 134. Oh, that's probably too much. 20 is too low. 45, 40 would be perfect. Well, we can still adjust it when we're on the way back home. However, at this point, it is once again time for fast forwarding. So here we are under time acceleration, messing around a little bit in the cockpit, but then we get our periapse down to be within the planet's atmosphere. I didn't want it to go in too steep on my first pass, so we just kind of bounce off the atmosphere at 35 kilometers. And then we come around for a second pass, where we are slowed down significantly enough to finally get a capture. And thanks to a finally installed heat shield, we have a much safer re-entry. We just came back from a high orbit over the moon, and let's hope nothing breaks off. No, we have a very nice, neat landing. We can even do a crew report, can we? No, it would override the other one. Doesn't matter. I mean, I could get out, stack it back in, and put it back in, but it doesn't really matter. Let's recover the vessel and see how much science we've got. Alright, Bob Kerman earned the first Moon EVA ribbon, Dangerous EVA ribbon, Kerbal EVA ribbon, and Kerbal Orbital EVA ribbon. Alright. So then we looked into how much science we could gather, and we realized we could unlock a new node, which then we did and checked out what new things will be available for us soon. But to the next thing. Okay, here we are with the Surveyor 2 that is going up to the moon, because we unlocked new science which should enable us to start mapping biomes on the moon. So this Surveyor is pretty close to the Surveyor 1, which is orbiting Kerbal right now, but we unlocked a new equipment part that will allow us to differentiate between biomes on the planet. And here I had a little bit of trouble because one of the fuel lines didn't connect properly, but I had to fix it manually. So let's just set this up, unfold this, and I'm going to skip the orbital maneuvering again because you guys have seen it being done before. But on our way to the moon, we had to make a correction burn because we want to get into a polar orbit around the moon, just as we did around Kerbal. So we have complete coverage of the entire celestial body. And the cool part about this is that this is not only going to work for mapping, but it will also be a normal satellite for communication. And here we go, we get it down to 251, I guess. Well, we can do some more maneuvering later on. Right now, we're gonna get this section out of our way and land it on the moon because I don't like flying debris. So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna quick save and then detach this, switch back over, shoot past this, and accelerate. And we're going straight down towards the moon. Oops. And we're already too far away from the surveyor. And let's switch to him. Okay. Orbital information. We are our apoaps is 250, so we need to fix our periaps the next time we hit apoaps. But what we can already start doing is we can start radar scan. And of course we can direct this simply at Kerbal and we will have connection. And this one can be targeted at the moon, right? Yes, so now we will have actually another satellite that helps us if we need communication. And we're also gonna activate the multispectral scan. There we go. All of these lenses pop out. They are orientated towards the moon, which doesn't really matter, it's just fancy and I like it. And now, once we go to this map here, we will see that the Surveyor 1 is taking pictures and we are starting to map the planet. And as I kind of think, as we look here on our trajectory, we will have complete coverage of the moon. And if we look at biomes, we can't see much right now, but with this mode, so with the newly installed, where is it? Let's look at it again. What is it called? I don't never remember. The multispectral sensor. This allows us to differentiate between biomes. So now we see here midlands, and these are highlands. So for future missions, we can land on the moon and know exactly where we're going to be and what we need. And here the Surveyor is slowly falling. Actually, 600 meters per second, and bam! After watching this explode, it is time to move on. Alright, and here we're back to the Surveyor after it has been 14 days in space, and it has been quite busy. As you can see, we now have a complete map of the moon. We have it in a very good coverage. We have everything uncovered. We have all the biomes. So like here we see it's the polar crater, southwest crater, northwest crater, east far side crater, twin crater, and Northwest crater. Wait, this is also Northwest crater. Midlands, Highlands, Highland crater, and polar lowlands. There's like so many biomes here. Poles. What else do we have? More poles, Highland craters, canyons. A lot more stuff. And what also this did uncover is there are anomalies right there, or there is an anomaly, so that's definitely something we do want to check out. Also over here is another anomaly, and down here is an anomaly, which calls for a probe. There are some anomalies over here as well. I'd be very interested to see what these are all about. So now let's move on to the next thing. Okay, so here we are, and this time we're going towards the moon again with a little bit more equipment on board now, and we will try to get near moon science this time. And it is again time for fast forwarding, because we've already seen this in exactly this episode already. However, there are some changes to the crafts. We added now the thermometer and what you just saw there on the side at a very quick phase, but we're going to look at it again later, is a telescope, which will let us have more science when we get to the moon. And once again, normal orbital maneuvering. We set up our node, we start accelerating, look at the map for some apparent reason, and as we get closer, we redirect our trajectory to be as close as we can to the moon. Meanwhile, we use our newly equipped scientific equipment to gather more data. However, as we draw closer, it is time for previous me. 50,000 meters. Collect particles. Yes! Some heavy silicate particles become embedded in the collector wafers. Their composition is consistent with that of lunar regolith. And we're gonna do a crew report. You glance by a window at the surface. Whoa! Who put mountain this high on a rock this small? Interesting. What does the visuals tell us? Scattered boulders visible in these regions suggest that they may be weathered with remains of large asteroid impact. And we actually took this over the moon's midlands, so we could technically get this from other spaces. Can we review this and transmit it? Yes, we have a connection. Can we log observations again? Yes, over moon's highlands. Log magnetometer, also information that we can send away. Log the visual enhancement again. We're still over midlands. Okay, log temperature. And the temperature. The thermometer is busy right now, but if you'd like to request a temperature reading, please leave a number after the tone. Beep. We've heard that one before. Doesn't matter, we're taking it anyway. Let's observe the mystery goo. And the mystery goo tells us the goo melts into a welcoming ball. Alright, let's keep that data. And observe the materials bay. What does it tell us? Inside, you see what appears to be a small, glowing, yellow squid-like creature. Fascinating. We also heard that one before. Maybe we can log some more visual observations? No, we're still over the Midlands. Actually, we can take a look at where we are, because we already took a reading of this, and we need biome, and we want it in color. And we should... These are highlands, midlands. We could come up over the twin craters. Just have to wait for that. Let's actually wait for that. Well, we do some weird wobbling, and we do an EVA. And take an EVA report. It looks like a really big rock over Moon's highlands. We're gonna store that experiment, get back on board, and make a crew report. Wait. We need to take all the data, and store it again. Because now if we get on board, we can actually do another crew report near the moon. You glance through window of surface. Whoa! We've heard that one before. Okay, we're supposed to be over the twin craters right now, but no, not yet. Just have to wait a little bit longer. Looks rather beautiful, doesn't it? How about now? No, not yet. Maybe now? No, still not. Ah, we're glancing right over it. We won't be able to get it, right? No, don't toggle shutter. No, 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 no. There we go. Come back out. Come back out. Tell me what you see. You see nothing. Alright. Let's turn on the engine and head back home. We just need to get out of the influence of the moon. There we go. But then we mess up a little bit. Yeah, fix it. But then it is time to head back home. But now we just skip ahead to the landing that, as you can see, was safe and sound. This episode comes to an end now. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will have more things to come next episode. There will be rover missions, there will be more moon missions, there will probably be more satellites. However, until next time.